This is Indie Book Publishing. Indie Book Publishing is a show about new books and the authors who wrote them. It's an opportunity for prospective readers to hear directly from the writers, to hear what inspired them to write and publish, and to hear all the inside details about their books. And now, Indie Book Publishing with your host, Steve Jorgensen.
The title of the book, Confessions of a Recovering Stupid Male, Creating Loving Relationships That Will Last a Lifetime. And the author and the recovering stupid male is Mike Love. Hello, Mike.
Hi, how are you?
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you in that category because you have made great strides, haven't you?
Yeah, and I still got a long way to go.
Well, it's quite a tribute to you from your wife at the beginning of the book, so it looks like you're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and what was the motivation to do this?
For the last 26 years, I've been married to a wonderful gal, and about the same time I graduated from college with a BA degree in applied psych. I worked with kids and families in crisis situations doing family sessions and have kind of pretty much stayed within that realm throughout the years. Unfortunately, it was really hard for me to, be what I would counsel other people to be, and it got to the point where I was never physically abusive, but I was verbally and emotionally abusive at times with my wife, and we'd get in quite a few arguments. I was a lot harder to live with than she was. And it got to the point about 18 years of marriage where we had the most horrible drag-out argument that you can imagine, and she walked out. I took the kids to go see a movie called Bruce Almighty, and on the way over there I felt justified in my stupidity, I guess you call it. And once got to the movie, I began to think, oh my God, what did I do? I think I might have gone over the edge with our marriage, and it might be the end of it. I don't know. And as I'm watching the movie, it spoke to me. It spoke to me about, who I was and what I need to do to change. And I made a vow to myself as well as to my wife that I'd change.
Well, you ask these questions and make these statements. You say, do you want to experience a more loving, intimate life with the one you love? There is hope for couples who are struggling to keep their union together. The fine line between a mundane relationship and an extraordinary one depends on what you bring to it. You share the story of your own troubled journey from being a self-centered, immature, and angry man to a more open, loving, and compassionate person. So that's quite a turnaround. Yeah,
and it's like I say, I'm not there yet. It's a journey. Working toward the destination, and it's a lifetime.
Well, let's get right down to the bottom line. What is a recovering stupid male? How do you define him?
I would define him, actually, I started defining him as me. That's how I came up with the term in the first place, I was bullheaded, I was egocentric, I wanted my needs met, but I didn't want to care that much for her needs. I had this mindset that that's the way it is and it should be. I was trying to play the macho image without having a care or concern for her. And so it's somebody that finally realizes that, there's two people involved here, and you need to get out of your own ego and be a part of a couple. And if you're not able to do that, you're going to find yourself alone or very unhappy or both. And I was at that point, and I realized what kind of a person I had been, and I needed to change, not only for my own reasons, but for the future of our relationship and for guidance for my children.
You talk about the indoctrination of the sexes. Explain what's happening there.
Well, I believe that for millennia that we've been taught that women are supposed to be a certain way and men are supposed to be a certain way. For an example, men are not supposed to be able to, or not to express their feelings. They're supposed to, we were taught, growing up, you know, big boys don't cry, keep a stiff upper lip, don't let it bother you,
get over it, right? Just get over it.
rather than dealing with it. You know?
Right. Right.
Another example is, just recently my wife was in the hospital for surgery, and fortunately, you know, she's mending well and all, but it was more of a serious surgery, and my concern was for her as well as everybody else, but I was all of a sudden feeling more irritable and depressed and anxious, and finally realized, well, wait a minute, this is a big issue that was going on with my wife, and I was kind of submerging it, and at the same time not dealing with it, and all of a sudden finding myself being irritable and agitated and stuff. And so years before I would not have thought about that, but I thought, well, wait a minute, I'm not taking care of myself as well. I need to deal with these emotions instead of bottling them up.
These emotions, these struggles from your early years, growing up.
Growing up and everything, yes. And
often, I think we as men just, we just don't want to look back like that. That's painful.
Yep. There's a lot of fear and pain in opening up, especially for men. We don't have the support group that women do with one another as we have with other guys. We want to go out and have a beer and watch football and you just one-upmanship, I mean, we talk about the easy stuff. We don't want to talk about the most hard, painful stuff, and a lot of the times your friends don't want to talk about it either because it's a very fearful thing to get involved in.
Yeah, feelings. Men don't like to talk about feelings. We got a lot of things that we'd like to talk about, but women talk about feelings. I mean, that's a woman thing.
That's right. But what it really comes down to in the big scheme of things is we're human first, and then we're male or female second. And we are all, in the greater scheme, we were brought in as an emotional, spiritual, feeling type of person, as well as intellectual. And here's where the indoctrination comes in, is it's okay for women to feel. Guys aren't supposed to feel. We're supposed to be the ones that take care of things, conquer the world, have babies, things like that.
What are the midlife crazies?
As far as the midlife transition, some men seem to go through it without any real bumps in the road. Because I've talked to men that have gone through it fairly smoothly, and then there's other men like myself. And oh my God, I never did any infidelity of any sorts. I mean, maybe in my mind I would have liked to have, but I didn't. That's one of the things I didn't do. But I was wanting to be 25 again and go out and party like I used to, just to avoid having to deal with, the midlife issues. Or I'd be irritable one minute, I'd be crying the next, and couldn't figure out what was going on. All these crazy things, and some of us men do some pretty crazy things. They'll divorce their wife to go out with or get hooked up with a younger chick, only to find out months later that it didn't work out, and he's alone. The wife doesn't want him back, or he might spend his money on fast cars or fancy things. Anything to avoid dealing with the thought that, things are changing within me. I'm not as young as I used to be, and I'm getting slower, and I don't want to deal with that.
Are women just, they're just asking for too much? We can't do all that they expect. Is that what it is?
The part of the indoctrination, I think, is that we're supposed to be the Superman. We're supposed to be the ones that can fix it all and do it all. On the one hand, they want a guy that can do all this and be Mr. Macho, and at the same time, they want a guy that's sensitive and feeling and understands what they're going through and stuff. And so I think there's a lot of pressure with that too, with us guys, that we're supposed to be like this, and yet we don't know how to feel. We don't know how to give out love or compassion or understand what they're going through and stuff. I think that's been a double standard for so many years.
And so you're trying to bring it down to earth, to really be realistic, and asking women to be realistic as well.
I think what it really comes down to is, here again, we're human first. We're human beings first. We have the capacity of intelligence, of humor, of wisdom, of feelings, of emotion, of compassion, things like that. And yet, for so many years, so many hundreds of years, thousands of years, we've been told, well, men are supposed to be like this, and women are supposed to be like this. And I think that's where you see the bridge where, in the 60s and 70s, you had the women's liberation movement because they were tired of having to be subservient to men. And then in the 80s and 90s, you saw the men's movement where they wanted to get back to basics of what it's like to be a man as far as globally, rather than just, what people say, you got to be macho, all this facade.
You took a survey. Anything jump out at you? You took a survey of what women want from men.
I'll tell you, it was really a humbling experience and an enlightening experience to get the questionnaires back from the women that I surveyed. I think the one that probably hit me the hardest was a gal that was 48 years old, had been married, and on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, most satisfied with my relationship, and 1, I'm not at all, she put down a 1, and that, she complained about how his habits, his dirtiness, his filthy mouth, he doesn't do anything, he doesn't say he loves her or anything like that. And so one of the questions was, what would you tell men? Is, well, it comes down to this. All we need is love. We need to be loved. We need to be respected. We need to be cared for. A thank you would help. Things like that. And I'm thinking, my God,
This is pretty simple stuff, isn't it?
Pretty simple. And isn't that really what we're all asking for?
Oh, yes. Yes, there you go. Men want it too, but they just don't say it.
They don't say it, and they don't express it. And it can be expressed not so much in words, because words can be kind of pale, but by action, by serving, by doing. How do you treat your wife, or how do you treat your girlfriend? I mean, hopefully you treated her, like a queen when you first got together. Why has that changed?
Right.
We don't have to still have those rose-colored glasses, but let's have some respect and helping one another improve one another, or improve ourselves in a relationship.
We've just got a couple minutes left, Mike. Just kind of give a reason why you use the 12 Steps program.
12 Steps to Becoming a Recovering Stupid Male was the 12 steps I put out for myself. When I first realized I needed to make those changes in my life, if my relationship and my life was going to turn for the better, I had to come up with a strategy, and I came up with these 12 principles. Nothing along the lines of AA or NA or some of these other recovery movements, but it's more of a way of gauging yourself and what you need to do to change to make yourself a better person for yourself as well as for your spouse and those around you.
The title of the book, Confessions of a Recovering Stupid Male, Creating Loving Relationships That Will Last a Lifetime, and the author is Mike Love, and you don't sound stupid to me, Mike. Tell us how to get your book.
Well, you can get it through local places like your bookstores. You can get it off of Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, other .coms. I've got a website. It's called oneloverising.com that if you're interested, I will autograph the book and mail it to you in time for Christmas.
Mike Love, thanks for being with us on Indie Book Publishing. This interview brought to everyone by Balboa Press. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Steve, and you have a great day.